the writing poetry and putting it out there is like a really vulnerable thing. You know, like I'm allowing people into my mind, and so that's like one, inherently very vulnerable, but then like showing the other sides and the other facets of my personality, that also is something that I'm scared of. Like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm just gonna show you like the really personal stuff, and you don't have to know about like the dorky or like the crazy or the exciting or whatever part of me. Like, it's okay. Like, we'll save that. But I'm realizing you need balance in life. Hey everyone, my name is Sawhney. I'm from Sonoma County in sunny California. I'm a writer. I write poetry. I write stories. Still honing in on that craft. And I'm working on a poetry book right now. It's called Lemons, which will be released pretty soon. It's a collection of poems that I've written over the course of like the last 3 years. Yeah. I'm really excited to release it.
Lemons.
So the title of the book, Lemons, comes from a poem called Lemons. And the line is, "Some days life hands me lemons. Other days I pick the damn fruit myself." And so that's just a reminder of like the trials and tribulations that sometimes I encounter and the things that I choose to encounter. And honestly, it's just my everyday life that was my inspiration for Lemons. Just sometimes making a wrong decision and just going all in it. And also, Lemons is paying homage to where I'm from, Sonoma County. It's really green and luscious, and all the poems in this collection will have a connection to nature. And so, loving my home. One of the hardest poems that I put out that's in Lemons is called 2-Second Lesson. And because of the relationship that I had with this person who I'm writing about, or who I wrote about, seeing the words on the paper was a reminder of what I had gone through, how stubborn I can be when it comes to like seeing the writing on the wall, and realizing that it's okay to distance yourself from somebody if they're hurting you. I think often as women, especially, we're taught that we kind of need to be quiet and we need to accept things for how they are, instead of kind of fighting back and pushing against something that's not right or that makes us uncomfortable. So that was definitely a lesson for myself as a woman, as a Latina, that it's okay to not be okay with somebody. So I would say my epiphany moment happened in January of 2015. I remember specifically writing a poem down that, I don't know where it is right now. I can find it later. But it that really addressed my doubts that I had for my future. And I had realized that where my future was going, the path that I was on at the moment, was not necessarily going to lead me to where I really wanted to go. And it required it required that I make some pretty big changes in my life. I started going to therapy at UCLA. I was under a ton of stress. I was just worried. I was scared. I was unsure. I was breaking out like no other. Oh my goodness, it was horrible. And I decided, okay, I need to make some changes in my life. And that following year was so hard. But that was like the beginning of my epiphany, where it was like a constant analysis and opening of my eyes to what I really did want in life, versus versus doing something that I thought I should be doing, or pleasing others, like my parents or some of my friends, based on what they thought life goes. But my life's been really good since then, because I kind of like, boop, the light bulb.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite books of all time is The Alchemist. something about that book that I remember. I think it was like 3 people recommended that book to me in the course of 2 weeks. There are 3 people who were not connected at all, didn't know each other, and I was like, man, I really need to read this book. So I read it, and I loved it. And it's such a simple, first of all, the way it's written from a writer's perspective of like the way the story is written, it's not a hard read. It's pretty short, but it's so simple yet so profound. I love it, absolutely love it. I also really enjoy poetry from Pablo Neruda. My aunt gave me this really cool collection of poems from him that's in Spanish and in English. And so you have one side in Spanish and one side, the next page is in English of the same poem, so you can translate it across. That's a really cool book. I really like it.
Yeah.
I would say follow your heart, follow your passion, but don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to try something new. And do your research, do your homework, and find a community. Try to see if you can find a community of writers. I think that's kind of hard because writers inherently, we're kind of, I would say we're more like, we stay home, we read, we drink tea or coffee. But try to find a community, and because we can all help each other. So that's where I would start with. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. My name is Sawhney. You can follow me on Instagram at Ms. Sawhney, Ms. Sawhney, and stay on the lookout for lemons.